I will be joined today by Anna, who is also a Buteco and Oxygen Advantage instructor, and she will be taking over the second half of this workshop. We are planning on doing more workshops together, as Anna has probably a lot of expertise in terms of teaching the Buteco method in Pilates. So one of the reasons why I'm so confident in saying that is the following. For the last 4 years, she has been running on a monthly basis with her students a workshop which runs through the 34 Pilates exercises. How many, out of curiosity, how many of you guys have done Pilates before? Maybe you can just raise your hands. All right, okay. Okay. No, just some people not. Okay, that's okay. So those of you that have done, you know that the Pilates repertoire is based on 34 exercises, and this is the ones that build the foundation of what became on a whole system. And of course, there are many more exercises on that. Now, and by the way, if you have never done Pilates, a lot of people think of it as being very easy. If you do just a few of these exercises, you may find that it targets muscles in your body, or muscles in your body that you're used to, either muscles of your body that you're not used to using, or muscles in your body that you're not used to use to isolate. So, you know, athletes and ballet dancers and all sorts use Pilates for that reason. What Anna has been doing in this workshop, which, if I'm not wrong, it runs tomorrow as well.
Yeah, so I run once a month, and initially, the main thing is get everybody to nose breathe throughout the 34 Pilates exercises, because to do them on their full expression, they are quite challenging already anyway, and some people will be struggling just to do them on their full expression. So of course I will give guidance on like breath holds and breathing light, but initially is really just aiming to do the 34 nose breathing only.
But yeah, what she does is she builds on top of that. So she will introduce breath holds, hypercapnic exercises. I have done these workshops a few times and they were very challenging. But that's not what we will be doing today. Let's say that this workshop that Anna teaches is like what we will do today on steroids for 2 hours. Okay. Saturday night, you don't want to do Anna's workshop. Maybe you want to do it at some point on a Sunday morning, which is when she runs. So you will spend a lot more time with Anna. For now, Anna will be on the background, like working as a co-host and answering any questions that you have. And I will be taking over the first part of the workshop. So what we will be doing now is we will be reviewing 2 things. Number one is with me. Number one is finding out how some easy ways, and I would say not easy, necessarily easy, but some progressively more challenging ways of activating the diaphragm. Everybody speaks about the diaphragm. Everybody wants to use the diaphragm. It's a good idea to use the diaphragm, but I'm not confident that this is always achieved. There is more talking, I would say, about the diaphragm than real work with it. So I will give you my take on it and how we can work progressively and get it to wake up. And the next thing we will be doing is we will look into how we can engage the core. Now, engage the core is an expression I have to say that I don't like. I think my students have probably never heard me saying engage your core. And it is based because I think it is a very vague term in the sense that the muscles of the core are many, and when are you really engaging which muscles? It's almost a philosophical topic, but definitely there is a way of increasing the stability in your midsection that I cannot argue. And what I will give you is a short description of some of the basically the main way of doing that, especially when it comes to working in a Pilates or a yoga setup. When you're working with weights, there are a couple of different ways which we will not cover today, but we do cover them in the Breathing for Yoga course, which is the main course I'm teaching alongside Patrick McCall. So yes, today it will be more of a workshop, more to do with biomechanics as opposed to breath work, but definitely breathing will be very relevant because ultimately that's what we are trying to achieve. How can we use the breath to get our core stronger? Yeah, and because I've said in the beginning, but it was not part of the recording and some people joined in now, I will give you a few exercises. I will describe them, but after the recording, I will put the video online, and in the description of the video, you will be able to see all the links if you want to isolate and practice one of these exercises. So, for the sake of being a complete workshop, I will quickly speak about the diaphragm, but I have no doubt that everybody knows where it is and what it does. So it is a dome shape, maybe there is some information that you may have not heard before. So it's a dome shaped muscle sitting at the bottom of the ribs. So it does attach to the ribs and it actually goes quite far down. So if this is where my trousers start and this is the lumbar part of my spine, the fibers of the diaphragm will go quite far down. Also, it's worth remembering that the thoracolumbar fascia, which is the fascia tissue that covers the thoracic area and the lumbar area, will go all the even further down than where the fibers of the diaphragm go. So the top part, so we said that it is a dome-shaped muscle. The top part is basically fascia. Yeah, it's not muscle. The top part, the surrounding area, it is. And actually, a lot of people speak that it's not really one dome; it's two domes, one attached to the other, with one dome being bigger than the other. But I'm not really confident that we have control in terms of activating one over the other. What we have control of is putting more pressure in one. And this is where yoga is very, very useful. But that's not the topic of today's workshop. So every time we inhale, unless we are paradoxic breathers, the diaphragm moves down. But it moves down as well as in. And when I came to, and this is, by the way, something that I was first introduced to by a guy a lot of you, I believe, would be familiar with. His name is Tom Mayers. He's the author of Anatomy Trains. And he speaks really, he says like that the down movement is minimal. I don't know how minimal it is, but when I looked into some videos and I calculated by how much the diaphragm will move inwards compared to down, yes, I can confirm that the inwards movement is a little bit bigger. Let's say for now that it moves as much in as down. And at the top of the diaphragm, where the fascia tissue is, sits the heart. And Tom's argument is that the heart is very sensitive, it's a very important part of the body. We don't want it to be moving all over the place. It's like it would potentially risk anything going wrong, and that would be the last thing that the body would want. So it kind of protects it by not allowing the diaphragm to move too far down, so that it in this way protects the heart that is attached to the diaphragm. Now, below the diaphragm, we have a lot of organs that are belong to the digestive or detoxification system, assimilation, and so on. So on the right side, we will have the liver. On the left side, we will have the spleen. And of course, we have the large colon, sorry, the small intestine, and then we have the large intestine, which is a colon that goes from the right up, across towards the left and down, right? I'm not mirroring you, but you can see this is my right side, so it goes from here and all the way down. I'm going to argue that if you're going to be doing a lot of breathing exercises with your stomach full, chances are that you may end up having to go, feeling the urge to go, either to go and urinate, but also go for a bowel movement. And this is to do with the role that the diaphragm plays in the massaging and in what we call peristalsis of the abdominal area. I think this is a very fascinating area. For the people that don't know, I'm just going to mention that I am a nutritional therapist. believe me, whenever someone tells me about sluggish gut, more often than not, I would start advising them to start doing some breath work and movements that will potentially get the intestines to move. And of course, there are supplements and the nutrition that we can address as well. But this is usually, I think, step number 2. Yeah, we can work together. All right. So anyway, so the diaphragm, we discussed how it works. It's a very thin muscle. So if you were to imagine like your biceps or your forearms, the diaphragm is a very thin layer. You could almost like hang it. You cannot see through, but it's a very thin layer, yet very, very strong. Now, we said about all of this called, one more thing. The diaphragm is getting, sorry, I lost the track of my thoughts. The diaphragm is connected, it's getting information from the brain through one nerve, what is called, sorry, the lungs are getting through the phrenic nerve, and so is the diaphragm. And it is through this nerve that it controls the pace at which it moves. The phrenic nerve goes further down all the way to the lower back. And this is, apart from the thoracolumbar fascia, a second way in which the breathing and the lower back are linked. The thoracolumbar fascia, by the way, is very much, it's very busy, let's say, in sympathetic nerves. So a lot of people, and maybe you are one of them, or you know people that when they are stressed, they will feel their lower back. Yeah, we know that with breathing we can calm the nervous system down. We know that when our breathing is erratic, potentially the nervous system will be aggravated. Obviously, a nervous system that is aggravated, whether it is due to the breathing or other reasons, will trigger the lower back. And potentially we may experience pain, especially if we have predisposition to that. Now, let's speak a little bit about how we can get the diaphragm to move. When we, okay, I feel the need to speak about one more thing in regards to the diaphragm. And this is that it is the primary inspiratory muscle. So when we think about the muscles of inspiration and expiration, they are not identical. Right? Some muscles participate more on inspiration or more on inspiration, and some muscles on expiration. So, for example, the abdominal muscles will not participate in inspiration. So, when they are contracting, they will facilitate expiration. When the diaphragm is contracting, it will facilitate inspiration. What about the expiration? So we inhale and the diaphragm moves down, as we said, it moves also in. And when we exhale, it passively comes back to its original position. You don't have to make an effort. The brain does not have to send any signals, let's say, to our diaphragm in order to move back to its original position. So can we stretch the diaphragm? In my opinion, in order to stretch the diaphragm, and I think, it's my opinion, but I have not found any evidence against that. The only way to stretch the diaphragm is if we can prolong the exhalation and make an effort to bring the diaphragm further up, like we do in Lateral breathing. I will quickly demonstrate that. I think that this is also techniques that can benefit the digestive system, but again, I will stop speaking about digestion because that's not the focus of today's session. So here, if I was to breathe in, and out, I hope you can see. So now my diaphragm is not stretched. However, if I was to allow my diaphragm to go above its original state, then we are stretching it. We are making it even more dome shape than its original position. So it would be like that. And as you can see, when I allowed my diaphragm, when I allowed my belly to come in, when my diaphragm as a result of my belly coming in went up, I actually even had access to it. I don't know if you saw, I was able to put my fingers, and I would expect that if you were to copy that, you would do yourself and apply, touch it, you know. Otherwise, if my belly is relaxed, I cannot access my diaphragm. These are techniques that both manual therapists perform, as well as free divers. Free divers, as you imagine, is among all specialties, all professionals, the ones that are caring the most about their breathing, because of course it can cause their life. And in their effort to relax the diaphragm, they will do this hollow position and they will go in and massage it, similar with what physical therapists aim to do. By the way, if you're going to be doing any of that, what I would suggest is you start by leaning forward. I will very quickly cover that. Yeah, so what do I mean by leaning forward? You can be performing it in a quadruped position. So you could be here. Or an alternative would be to be leaning forward, but be a little, having the weight on your knees. So for this purpose, I will be taking a lot of my weight on my knees. Again, I will lift my top so you can see. So. And from there on, we can practice Naoli and so on. This is a way to stretch the diaphragm. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe some of you are interested. Maybe you want to practice. It's fantastic for digestive health. And in that sense, we can say, okay, we are supporting this way, potential detoxification, digestion, and so on. However, because the topic of today's workshop is not all of that, but it's the core, I will move on. And I will say that, in my opinion, this exercise is useful. They will not really release the diaphragm. The diaphragm in people that have been practicing yoga, like I would expect some of you, myself, will be able to move a lot freer, a lot more. And this will be an add-on. It's a great exercise. I'm not looking down on it. But the reality is that, especially for people, maybe some of your friends, maybe some of you, living a sedentary lifestyle, that they don't move a lot, especially when they move a lot, I mean, not necessarily doing any type of exercise, but doing like exercise that require a lot of movement in different directions, like dance, like yoga, gymnastics. Yeah. So people that don't belong in these categories, their diaphragm and their position a lot of the times will be compromised. And in these cases, what they need to be doing is doing passive stretches as well as myofascial release, so with foam rolling, with the peanuts and so on, to release the diaphragm. They don't really release the diaphragm, they release the movement of the diaphragm. If you were to see images from studies, again, all of that is information that will go in quite big depth into the Breathing for Yoga course, which, as you, from what you understand now, it's not just about yoga. Pilates and personal trainers attend it quite often. The diaphragm of someone in a very strong kyphosis, so I'm trying to mimic someone with a strong kyphosis, so someone with a very rounded back is able to move by a tiny bit. So in this individual, any type of breathing exercise that we will cover very soon is not going to go very far, because it's like, are you with me? You cannot, if something is restricted, if a muscle is restricted because of the other muscles that are around, or because of the structure that you put in, do belly breathing all day long. You're not going to go anywhere. Yeah. You see someone with rounded shoulders. You see someone with painful neck. You see someone with lower back pain. When Anna comes in, I will try to source and put maybe on the chat an image where it shows two individuals, one with lower back. It's actually from the manual of the Breathing for Yoga course. an image of someone with lower back pain and an image of someone of a healthy individual. And you will see, when you see the movement of the diaphragm in these two separate individuals, you will see day and night. In one, he moves nothing. In the other one, he moves a lot. And hopefully this puts into perspective why I've been making all of this very long introduction. Because I will give you the exercise. I'm not going to hold back onto anything. But someone with poor posture, these exercises, we need all this preparatory work. And just as a quick reminder, in the description of the video that I will upload afterwards on YouTube, you will get stretches, passive stretches for the diaphragm. You will get, I think it's a 15-minute sequence where you can release the muscles around the diaphragm with a foam roller. Very inexpensive, very easy accessible. If someone that you know or yourselves, you want to free your thoracic area, you want to free the movement of the diaphragm, this is something that I would strongly encourage to perform prior to breath work, but prior, just in the first thing in the morning, it will go a long way. Now, let's look now into how we can wake up the diaphragm, how we can start getting the diaphragm stronger. We spoke about the flexibility of it. We spoke about the flexibility of the diaphragm itself. We spoke about the flexibility of the muscles that surround the diaphragm. Let's get on now into how we can get it stronger. In order for a muscle to get stronger, it needs to work against resistance. The resistance in the case of the diaphragm is, we can say, and I put it in quotation marks, provided naturally by the abdominals. So we have two cavities. We have the thoracic cavity and we have the abdominal cavity. The thoracic cavity, we can change its pressure and its volume. Now my thoracic cavity has increased. Now it changed. However, my abdominal cavity cannot change in volume unless, of course, I lose a lot of weight, unless, of course, I go and have a bowel movement. But within a few seconds or within even within one day, chances are that I cannot change my thoracic cavity's pressure. What will increase, so imagine the abdominal cavity as a balloon. The more pressure you put on one side of the balloon, the more the air will be more dense inside. And this is something that we can do without any equipment if we do belly breathing. Belly breathing, in that case, I would say is the first way to perform, to wake up your core, right? One thing that I didn't get into is that the diaphragm is, apart from a respiratory muscle, it is also a postural muscle. But we will not get any more into that. We have spoken about that in previous classes. And yeah. So with that in mind, I would like you to close your eyes, find the tall spine, keep your shoulders down. I suggest you sit, and you sit on an elevated surface. So I would bring a bolster myself. And I will sit, and we will perform some of these exercises together. So, as I said, I strongly encourage you to be sitting on an elevated surface, and legs crossed or out to the side. I would like you to inhale and allow your abdomen to expand, and on the exhalation, allow the belly to come in. Try to keep the exhalation as passive as you can, and try to make the exhalation as exaggerated as possible. But yeah, without stressing yourself. I would like you to maintain nasal breathing. I would like you to stay relaxed nonetheless. So I don't want you to inhale to the extent that you start tensing your neck muscles. If you want, if you're not sure how much your belly is moving, what you can do is you can apply one hand on your abdomen. And I would encourage you not to worry about what happens on your chest. I find that a lot of people worry about the movement of their upper body, which of course is important, but as I said, I think there is, sometimes there is too much concern about the movement of the chest, and in reality, they should not be. Continue and do a few more of breaths like that. And once you do 3 more breaths like that, what I will encourage you to do is to go back into your regular breathing. And notice if the breath is any different, if there is some qualities in your breath that have changed, if it is more effortless. And while keeping your eyes closed, I would like us to move into the next exercise of this practice. And with the eyes closed, I would like now to go into inhaling and prolonging your breathing cycle and exhaling. So prolonging the breathing cycle by prolonging the inhalation and the exhalation. Allow the lungs to expand in all 4 directions. If you have attended any of the classes that I have on YouTube or any of the previous masterclass, we spoke a lot about the different directions that the lungs can expand. But as you inhale, the lungs expand forwards, out to the side. Take your time. The breathing is soft. Don't rush to take air in. So it may, as I've said already, get prolonged both through the inhalation and the exhalation. If there are any breath holds at the end of these 2 phases, that's great. Keep them like that. After a while, I would expect that some of you may find this prolonging of the breathing cycle getting easier and easier, and you almost feel the urge of make them even longer. Last couple of breaths here, and after you've taken 2 more breaths, I would like you to go back into your regular breathing and notice if now the breathing is more effortless than it was before. And for the next exercise, you will need to change your position. The next 2 exercises. So, by the way, out of curiosity, with a show of hands, how many of you felt that you were more free to move your diaphragm or to breathe after the second exercise? How many of you felt that it was a bit easier after just doing a little bit of belly breathing? Some, yeah, most of you. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. How many of you saw a positive improvement after the second exercise in comparison to the first? Anyone? 1 person only. Okay, that's fine. I would argue that, I mean, obviously I'm not in the same space with you so that I can observe, but especially with a prolonged breathing cycle, I have seen people changing a lot and actually breathing more diaphragmatically. A lot of the exercises that we'll cover today, it's a matter of practice. It's not me saying it and you performing it for 30 seconds or 1 minute that we'll be doing it. In the next 2, you may want to have a block or a book around. And if you have something a little bit heavier than a block, might also be appropriate, but for the last one. So for this exercise, what I would ask you to do, it's a very popular exercise. And again, I think it can go a long way towards helping us breathe diaphragmatically. You will be putting it underneath your abdomen. So as much as possible, we don't want to be touching our ribs, we want to be having it underneath our belly. And from here, we can have our wrists crossed against each other, on top of each other. And we can breathe against the block or the book. If you don't have something available at the moment, even a bottle of wine will do, because it will go across your belly. Yeah, you can work with that. And as I've said, for the next one, we will be needing something slightly heavier. So keep your eyes closed. Now here, one thing you will find is that as you inhale, your abdomen is pressing against the block. As you are exhaling, of course, it moves away from the block. But what you can do, similar with this hollow abdomen movement that I was performing earlier, you could be allowing the belly to go a lot more in than just a little bit. And once you finish with that, what I would like you to do is going to a cross-legged position, come out of this prone position, and just keeping your eyes closed, breathe, and notice if you can feel your diaphragm. By the way, a lot of these exercises will be very appropriate when you have finished training. So if you are out of breath, if you need to breathe in more deeply, I think these exercises you will see a much bigger impact compared to now that probably you're all relaxed and having a chilling time at home. But they would still show a difference. And for the last exercise, what I would suggest you do, and in my opinion, this is by far the exercise that will allow you to strengthen your diaphragm the most, is apart from breath holds, which are also going to strengthen your diaphragm, because well, there are a few others as well, but anyway, from what we will do today, this is the one that you will strengthen the most, is you will lie in supine position, so you will be on your back, and from there you will have something against your belly. If it is just a book or a block, it's probably not going to make a big difference, in my opinion, because it's not going to provide enough resistance. What you want to be doing is choosing something that really forces your belly to sink in. As you see, this block is not doing it for me. So if I was to choose something, I would need to choose something that weighs approximately 2 to 4 kilos. And usually a kettlebell works well, but also ankle weights. The reality is that even a heavy book will do, provided that it allows, when you're not providing, like, I don't know if you can see, Anna just brought me a plate. So if I could have potentially the plate. I really like to have the plates directly on my belly. So for me, this is like 5 kilos here, and it works perfect. I hope you can see, although they are cold, I'm going to still put them in my belly so you can see, because the mat is black. This works very well. Can you see that unless I force the weight to come up, the weight is sinking into my abdomen. Okay, so if you have something available, of course, my legs will be extended. If you have something like that available, please use it. And I would argue that this is the exercise. By the way, all of the above are exercises that you want to perform for a count of, so for 4 minutes. In my opinion, around 4 minutes. If that's the only thing you will be doing, maybe even 7 minutes will be okay. But in my opinion, by the time we perform most breathing exercises for 4 minutes, they start having their effect. I see some people have found a way to work with that. So I will let you stay there for like another 30 or so seconds so that you can experience and get like a little bit of a taste of what it is like. make this your last 3 breaths in this position. And from there, I would like you to come back into the original position that you had and just close your eyes and breathe regularly. Don't change your breath, don't prolong the breath, just keep your mouth closed and breathe regularly. And notice if you feel a difference. By the way, a lot of the times I'm asking my clients to just, while lying down, just remove the kettlebell or the resistance and see the impact straight away. All right, and slowly you can open your eyes again with a show of hands. Did any of you felt gradually over these 4 exercises that the breathing was becoming a little bit more comfortable? Yeah, I see quite a few hands going up. Well, everybody's hands are going up. All right, so thanks for the feedback. Yes, like I said, even the ones that you don't experiencing the first time, it might have to do with not putting enough effort or not enough time into it. Ultimately, it's a matter of convenience. You may not always have access to something heavy, but if you are practicing at home or in a gym, usually this is something that you can arrange comfortably. I'm not going to open another subject which has to do with the obliques and the intercostal muscles. But in a very similar way that we described now about diaphragm, the intercostal muscles and the obliques, which are, by the way, very similar with each other, they are external and internal intercostals and obliques, okay? And they both, apart from facilitating breathing, they also facilitate stability, and they are even more involved in rotations, especially, of course, the obliques. They are also postural muscles, and with the more we exercise them, we can support breathing and posture, core. Because what is really core? Core is the name we usually give to muscles that we always have operating, keep us upright when we challenge them, right? You call it belly when you're just sitting around and speaking with your friends. You call it core when you go and do a plank. The muscles are the same, right? So when you are, when it comes to the diaphragm, as well as these other muscles, which we are not addressing now in this part that you are with me, you will be addressing a little bit with Anna in the second part, where you will be doing these 3 yoga exercises soon. We are supporting both, yeah? So, I want to say one more thing, which I think is often overlooked. The body, and this is not something that I say, it was shown in research, will prioritize when it has to choose between posture and breathing, will prioritize. What do you think? You can unmute yourself if you want and say. Any volunteers? Okay, you seem to be quiet. It will prioritize breathing. It is more important for you to breathe than you to have the right posture. Does it surprise you? I don't think it should, right? For you to continue to take oxygen in and breathe, it's more important. So with that in mind, whenever you do core work, as it has also the function of support breathing, you're improving your breathing. Every time you do breath work, potentially you're becoming stronger in your midsection or your core muscles, whatever this may mean to each of you. Okay. Now, how can we lock the core? How we can engage the core? And again, you will see me probably always putting the quotation marks because I don't like the expression, but I think a lot of people resonate with it, so I'm happy to use it. First of all, when you are using, there was a study that again is covered in the Breathing for Yoga course, but I'm sharing now with you that when people were exposed to high levels of carbon dioxide gradually through wearing a mask, they found what? They found an increase in the thickness of transversus abdominis. Transverse abdominis is part of our inner unit. It's what everybody refers to when they speak about the core. Definitely a lot of people in Pilates. Not the rectus abdominis, not the six-pack that you see in the mirror. So when we are working with hypercapnia, that people that follow the Buteco method are very familiar with, we are activating our transverse abdominis. Not a reason to breathe through the mouth when you're practicing Pilates. And you will see that in practice once Anna takes over and does the exercises with you. But we can take it a step further, because obviously the activation of the transverse abdominis is minimal in terms of strengthening the core. It's important, but it's minimal. So the next step we can take is we can increase the intra-abdominal pressure. There are a few different ways of doing that, and they can be very useful, especially in people with lower back pain and problems, as well as in people that lift weights. But I'm not going to cover that now, because we try to keep it like a little bit more, not simple, but like the reality is that this is not the theme of working with lower back pain. Maybe we'll do a future masterclass. So we will cover an exercise that will increase intra-abdominal pressure and will probably be sufficient and available to perform most things that you will do within a Pilates class and the yoga class. And it is the lateral breathing. Now, the lateral breathing is, which we have covered before in this series of workshops, is when I'm keeping my navel slightly in and I'm allowing my lungs to expand. Can you follow me? My breath is soft, but it's not supposed to be anyway much bigger. But on the inhalation and the exhalation, you don't see what I was doing before when I was performing belly breathing. So when I'm inhaling, and naturally, what did we say? The diaphragm is moving down. It is moving a little bit down, not enough to push the belly forward, because I'm keeping my midsection locked. And then we see this expansion of the ribs. It's not the expansion of the ribs that will increase the core stability. It's this locking of the midsection. And you know what you can do in order to increase it even more? Hold your breath, which takes us back to familiar territories, as we are familiar with the benefits of breath holding here. Breath holding can also support increase of intra-abdominal pressure. At the end of the breath hold, the diaphragm it decreases by approximately 18.5%. So it can increase even more, which means even more intra-abdominal pressure. So with that in mind, I will leave you, and Anna will take over, and she will put the lateral breathing and a lot of the things that we have already said, plus things that you already know, into 3 Pilates exercises. Good luck.
Yeah, so we're going to be applying the lateral breath for one of the abdominal exercises. And it's very important that you see how it feels on your body. So I will demonstrate the first expression of the movement, that is increasing the leverage and keeping the leg close to the floor, between like 5 centimeters off the floor. But feel free to have the leg a little bit higher. Yeah, so you should be able to maintain your spine in a static position. So neutral as you do the changes of the legs. So if you think about that that lateral breathing that Anastasis was explaining beforehand, what we're going to be doing on so the exercise, the first exercise we're going to be doing is the single leg stretch. So the single leg stretch, you have one leg straight and one leg bent towards your chest, and you will be applying this lateral breathing. So expunging the ribcage sideways and locking your midsection. Now, when you do the single leg stretch, you also want to think about your body as front and back. So because we are curling the upper back, you want to think about lengthening the back of the body as you shorten the front of your body. If you think about these two sides of the coin, when you use your breath, so when you inhale, you can imagine that you're changing your breath here, and then that will help you with your flexion. So you're also using your breath to facilitate that flexion of the spine. Yeah. So often people feel the neck when they do chest lifts. So we'll show two different options to support the head, and then you see what feels best for you today. So let me just lower the camera here. So the rhythm of the breath that we're going to be doing is we're going to inhale, exhale, we're going to hold the breath, and then we're going to perform 4 leg exchanges, yeah, as we hold the breath. And then you're going to recover your breath, resume your breath with small breath holds. And then we do again, and then we do again, and then we do again, yeah, and then we rest. So from this position, I'll just show you the movement first. So one leg is in deep flexion as the other leg is in extension. You could be using your, the classical position of the hands are on the inside part of the knee and the outside of the ankle. And you can use your leg to increase your flexion. So we're going to inhale, so laterally, you exhale as you soften your sternum and you try to come a little bit higher. And then we're going to do 4 leg exchanges. So you do. And as you recover the breath, you're going to carry on. So here you're breathing again for another 4. Then you inhale, exhale, trying to shorten the front, lengthen the back, and you do 4 leg exchanges holding your breath. You recover your breath for another 4. And then when we go into the breath hold again, we stop. Now you could have your hands here, yeah? If for any reason you feel on the back of the neck. How is that, guys? Yeah? So far, so good? So feel free to support the head, and the position of the neck is a fist distance between chin and chest. So you are flexing your neck, and you want to feel that you're using like your deep neck flexors. Yeah. So you don't want to feel the back of the neck. You want to, if anything, you want to feel the front of the neck as you keep your neck in a small flexion. If for any reason you feel that your belly is not holding the weight of your legs, instead of having the leg close to the floor, you just have your leg a little bit higher initially. Yeah. And then as you practice, as you get stronger, you can increase the load by lowering the leg and bring it closer towards the floor. So don't feel that you need to start with the leg close to the floor. You can start with the leg higher. And because there are so many things to think about, the last layer is the breath. There is this specific breathing choreography, if you like. Yeah. So you inhale, you exhale, you hold your breath, and we are doing just 4 exchanges. So we're not going for a maximal breath hold, although for some people that will feel like a maximal breath hold. So feel free just to do 2. So if you do 4 exchanges and it's quite challenging, you can do just 2 exchanges. Yeah. So you can change the number of repetitions. And then you do as many repetitions you need to recover your breath. Because as your nose breathing, you is still going to be challenging your breath. Yeah. So see if you can stay with nose breathing throughout. And let's have a break. Yeah. So just bring so you can do your break as a gentle hip flexor stretch here. You can go into a stretch for the back of the neck. So flattening your lower lordotic curvature, so flattening the lower back as you flatten the cervical lordotic curvature as well, and you go into a deep compression here on the hip flexor. Yeah, and you're reaching, so flex your feet and just reach the heel across the floor. Thinking about the tips of your elbows going down towards the floor. And then change legs. So placing the arm towards the shin. Thinking about the back of your arms reaching down towards the floor. So you're going into a deep flexion here. And you're just flexing, so dorsiflexing your foot and reaching the right leg across the floor. And release. Yeah. So good. How was that? Did you feel your abdominals? Yeah. Yeah. Did you feel that your respiratory capacity was challenged by holding your breath? Nice. So the great thing about the breath is that you can use to facilitate or to challenge your body. And the exercise itself, it might be challenge already for some people. And then you can add this second layer to challenge the exercise overall even more. So you could start just with 2, yeah? So you hold your breath just for 1 and 2 leg exchanges. And as it gets easier for your clients, then you could add more, right? You could go up to 8, but not a maximal breath hold yet, because you still want to recover with a small breath holds in between. So you keep a continuous. Yeah, and we will do the maximal breath hold afterwards when we do the plank. So we worked in this supine position that you're facing the ceiling, and also working your hectus with the flexion of the spine. So now on the second exercise, we're just going to bring the body in a slightly different position. So we're going to go into side lying, and we're going to just stay with breathing light. Yeah, so you're going to breathe a little bit less than you would otherwise. But of course, when you do breathing light in relaxation, your breathing requirement is different than when you actually moving the body. So it might be the breathing light, as you do the exercise, you'll be breathing a little bit more, yeah, because your physical requirements are higher. So yeah, so let's just see how it goes. Now, I'll show you first the full expression of the movement. If it doesn't agree with the neck and the shoulder, I will show you a second position, yeah, for the upper body. So if you are in the middle of your mat, the legs, you're gonna bring a little bit forwards, yeah, so that will make your balancing slightly easier. The position of the hip is hip stack over hip and shoulder stack over shoulder. Here across your waist, you want to aim to maintain the length between hip and rib on both sides. So you have that sense of actual elongation. Yeah, it is one of the principles of Pilates. Yeah, so you're reaching from the top of your head to your tailbone, and you maintain a neutral spine position. So you could stay here with the head on the floor, but the full expression is just, when I say full expression, is just how Pilates himself described this movement. It's with the elbows in that position, but it might feel a bit tight for some people on the shoulder. Yeah, so don't feel they need to stay here. Now, as you interlace your fingers and you place behind your head, you're pressing your head back into your hand, and that really helps you to position your head in space. So you want to have the head in the back of the head in alignment with the back of your sacrum, yeah, because often we think we have the head in the right position, but often we have this like fold head position mostly due to, you know, whatever activities you do throughout the day. So as you position your head here, you have your top leg in alignment with the head, and you're lengthening your waistline, and you're exploring the orientation of your body in a sideline position. Yeah, so how you orient your body in a sideline position, and you breathe light. So see, how can you breathe light here? How can you breathe a little bit less than you would otherwise? And then we start to move. So you bring the leg forwards and back. So when you bring the leg forwards, you're bringing your top hip back. And when you bring the leg back, you're bringing your hip into a slight extension. If it feels a little bit unbalanced and you want a bit of support, you could have one finger on the floor. Yeah, but you can allow your body to move. It's slightly. The nice, so we are using the floor a lot for feedback as well. So as you have part of your body on the floor, you can feel the expansion of your rib towards the floor. So you're breathing light, and you can feel your rib pressing towards the floor. When you bring the leg towards the back, you are lengthening the top of the hip. So yeah, very nice, guys. Good. And let's just change sides. Yeah, so bringing your legs together. So first, you think about your orientation. You often will feel differences between right and left side, you know, like tightness on the shoulder, balance, how you balance on that side. So think about lengthening your waistline, so you're not like sinking towards the floor. And just this intention of lengthening away will be activating your midsection. You press the head against the palms of your hands. You lift the leg, and you have in alignment with your head. And you just want to establish, because you're already doing some muscular activity there when you have your leg up. So you establish what is your breathing light. And as you increase your physical requirements, as you bring your leg forwards and back, see if you can stay. So you want to feel a slightly air hunger. Yes, you're going to feel the air hunger when you bring the leg forwards and back. So you're working some supportive muscles there. They are very important for balance with this exercise. You're working with your glutes medius and min. There is the side butt. Nice. Yeah, and see if you can feel that you're bringing your body into air hunger, but just a little bit, not to the point that you need to take a big breath. Yeah, so it's just breathing a little bit less than you would otherwise. Yeah, just 2 more repetitions. Nice, Micaela, Dominique, Adelina. Hope you're enjoying as well the side kick. Lying and make that your last repetition. Nice. Yeah, so in relation like to coordinating the breath, it's a little bit easier because it's just one thing to think about to decrease the amount of air you're bringing in and out. But then you need to keep monitoring that you're not like breathing too little or breathing too much. So you're not skip the challenge of breathing light as you keep moving the leg forwards and back. Yeah, so it really drags. So the more we draw the attention on the breath, it really what I really like about breathing is that it anchors, that there is one of the principles of Pilates as well, is this precision of movement. So it anchors your attention to what you're doing. Yeah, so you need to be present. You need to stay with your body and what is going on. So focus and concentration are a big advantage of doing the breath work and being aware of the breath work as we do the repetitions and the exercises. Cool. So we're just gonna go for one more exercise, similar to the first one, but now we're gonna keep the spine neutral. So we're going to go into the plank, and we're gonna do some leg kicks as well. So again, if your wrist is a bit sensitive, feel free to go on your forearms. But if the wrists are fine, just go into the full expression of the movement. And you place your hands on the floor. You can start from all fours. You glide the shoulders away from ears. And as you are in a plank position, you're just going to do a double kick with the right and the left leg. And again, that's the full expression. You could just hold plank as well. So it goes, what? Ooh, I kicked the wall. Sorry. So from here, you just go 1, 2. And as you do this leg movement, you want to allow the movement to happen from the hip, not from the spine. Yeah, so you're gonna keep the trunk like stiff, yeah, strong and stable. So the breath that we are doing, we're gonna do a maximal breath hold. So you want to see how many repetitions you do right and left side until you cannot hold your breath anymore. When you cannot hold your breath anymore, see if you can recover with nose breathing. So you're going to bring your knees on the floor. We're going to shift into child's pose. You're going to recover the breath with nose breathing, but at the same time, as you are in child's pose, you're going to have that pressure on your belly, and you're going to feel the breath going towards the back of your body. Yeah, because sometimes we don't think so much about the opening of the back of the body as we breathe, the stretching and the muscles on the back of the body. Yeah, so yeah, so let's go for one repetition. So from all fours, press your fingers, so you distribute the weight of your body across the palms of your hands. You go into your plank position, so you think about the base of support between hand, foot. And then you do the leg kicks as you hold your breath. So you inhale, you exhale, you hold your breath, and then we go 1, 2. Yeah, and then you keep holding your breath. When you cannot hold your breath anymore, you're going to recover in child's pose. And see if you can resume and recover your breath by nose breathing. So as you hold your child's pose, knees together, to allow the pressure of the thigh to go towards the belly. Good. And just rolling back up. Nice, guys. Yeah, good work. Yeah, and you have this advantage that you can count. So it's a very, it's an easy way to see how much you're improving each time that you repeat. Yeah, so you could be doing more repetitions as you hold your breath.
I can tell that some of you really enjoyed it. I hope you understood what I meant, that it is a challenge to put the Pilates exercises on top of the Buteco or breathing, or the oxygen advantage breathing, whatever you call it. Like, it's basically healthy and ways of breathing. if you enjoyed this workshop, I would suggest that you follow along the work of Anna, because she does. There is more awareness around how we should be breathing, but I think especially in the Pilates world, a lot of people still instruct their students in this staccato breathing, which is like, which is, we can say, almost the opposite of what you guys were doing. You were holding your breath, or you were breathing soft, and so on. I hope you found this mix of so follow. You can follow Anna's work. See on YouTube, she puts lots of how-to videos where she combines breathing and Pilates. And if you enjoyed this, how many of you enjoyed this mix of theory and practice? Yeah, some of you. Yeah. Would you,
arms.
Would you have preferred more practical sessions? No, just a mix is good. Okay, all right. So we are planning on running one per month, and yeah, hopefully Anna will be joining me more often, and she will be sharing a lot more, because over these 4 years of teaching workshops, she has gained a lot of insights. Have a great Saturday.
And if you have not seen yet, the links are on the chat. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it.
We'll put them on the description of the video as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, cool.
Good night.
Bye. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.